You know, when we think of Gandhi, we usually think of his massive countrywide campaigns. But what about the very first one? Today, we're going to dive into a pretty crucial but often overlooked event in a place called Champaran. This was the battle that really set the stage for India's entire independence movement. And you know what? The best place to start is with Gandhi's own words. Decades later, in 1942, he pointed to this exact moment as the real beginning. It wasn't some grand political debate or a big speech, but a very specific incident in 1917 that changed literally everything for him. So, what on earth happened in 1917? Well, this story doesn't kick off with a famous politician or a general. Nope, it all starts with a single, incredibly stubborn peasant who just refused to take no for an answer. I want you to just picture this scene for a second. It's this huge political convention. There's over 2,000 delegates there. And through this crowd, a poor, frail-looking sharecropper named Rajkumar Shukla finds the one man he thinks can help him, and he makes this really simple request. He asks Gandhi to come to his district, Champaran, a place Gandhi had never, ever even heard of. And this is where you really see Shukla's incredible persistence. I mean, Gandhi was a busy guy. He had appointments all over India. But Shukla, he didn't give up. He literally followed him everywhere, from Lucknow to Kanpur, even all the way to Gandhi's ashram. For weeks, he just never left his side, always begging, "Fix a date." Finally, Gandhi, just so impressed by this guy's tenacity, agreed. So once Gandhi actually arrived in Bihar, he did not waste a single second. He immediately starts gathering facts, and this, of course, put him on a direct collision course with the powerful British landlord system. Okay, so at the very heart of the problem was this deeply unfair contract. For years and years, the peasants of Champaran were locked into this deal where they were forced to use 15% of their absolute best land to grow indigo. And then they had to hand over the entire harvest to their English landlords as rent. They had zero choice in the matter, none. But then technology comes along and changes everything. See, Germany developed synthetic indigo, and just like that, the natural crop was basically worthless. The landlords didn't want it anymore, but instead of just ending the contract, they saw a chance to make a profit. They actually demanded the presidents pay them a compensation fee to be released from an agreement that was now totally useless to them anyway. So many of the illiterate peasants paid, only to find out later they'd been completely tricked. When Gandhi heard all of this, he realized the problem went so much deeper than just money. He saw that the law courts were useless because the peasants were just crushed. They were completely fear-stricken. He knew that the real victory here wasn't going to be about getting money back. It would be about freeing these people from their crippling fear of the British landlords. So Gandhi's first move? He goes straight to the source to get the facts. He went to the secretary of the British Landlords Association, but was met with a total stonewall. They just dismissed him as an outsider, to which Gandhi just calmly replied that he was no outsider. And the opposition just got more intense from there. When Gandhi went to see the British official commissioner of the district, the reaction was even harsher. The commissioner didn't just refuse to help, he actually tried to bully Gandhi, ordering him to get out of the area immediately. But Gandhi didn't leave. Of course he didn't. Instead, he headed right for the capital of Champaran to keep his investigation going. And that's when the authorities made their big move. The police superintendent's messenger shows up and serves him with an official legal notice. Quit Champaran right now or face the consequences. And this was the turning point. In this incredibly quiet but powerful act of defiance, Gandhi signed the receipt for the notice, but he also wrote on it that he would disobey the order. This was it, the first major act of civil disobedience in modern India. A court summons arrived the very next day. So that one simple act set the stage for this huge, dramatic showdown in court. And believe me, what happened next surprised absolutely everyone. So the morning of the trial, the town of Motihari was just black with peasants, thousands and thousands of them. Now, they didn't know about Gandhi's work in South Africa. All they knew was that a Mahatma, a great soul, was in trouble for trying to help them. The spontaneous demonstration all around the courthouse was their very first step in shaking off that fear. Meanwhile, inside the courtroom, the government was totally baffled. The officials were powerless. And when it was time to enter a plea, Gandhi stood up and pleaded guilty. But then he did something brilliant. He framed his lawbreaking as a conflict of duties. His explanation was just profound. He told the court he wasn't trying to disrespect their authority, not at all. He was simply obeying a higher law, the voice of his own conscience, which told him he had to serve the people he came to help. And then he asked for the full penalty. So Gandhi turns to these prominent lawyers who had come to support him, and he asks, "What are you going to do if I go to prison?" And at first they said, "Well, we'll just go home." But Gandhi's self-sacrifice challenged them. They realized it would be a shameful desertion, and they told him no, they were ready to follow him into jail. The moment Gandhi heard the lawyers make that pledge, he exclaimed, "The Battle of Champaran is won." He knew right then that this unified stand, this willingness to face prison for a just cause, that was the real victory. What happened in the court case was now almost beside the point. So, with this huge moral victory already secured, the official outcome of the whole confrontation just went to show that Gandhi's strategy was nothing short of brilliant. The government, now facing a totally united front and thousands of mobilized peasants, just backed down. A few days later, a message arrived from the lieutenant governor of the province. The case against Gandhi was being dropped. It was a stunning moment. Civil disobedience had triumphed. So an official commission of inquiry was set up, and Gandhi was the sole representative for the peasants. The evidence against the landlords was just overwhelming. They finally agreed to pay refunds, but the question was, how much? The planters offered a refund of just 25%. And to everyone's absolute shock, Gandhi immediately accepted. So why? Why would he accept such a low amount? Well, Gandhi explained that the amount of money was way less important than the principle. For the very first time, these landlords, who had always behaved like they were lords above the law, were forced to surrender not just money, but also a part of their prestige. And the peasants, they saw that they had rights, and they learned courage. Within just a few years, the indigo sharecropping system completely vanished. But the true impact of Champaran was so much greater. It taught a lesson in courage to an entire nation. You know, the story of Champaran started with just one man's plea about an unfair contract in a little district nobody had even heard of. But it ended by teaching an entire nation that courage was the first step to freedom. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? When does a single act of standing up to a seemingly small injustice become the spark that ignites a revolution?